Hello, my dear friends. Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. My name is Victor Fursov. I'm a research entomologist, and I'm zoologist at Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences in Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, for people who visited this channel just for the first time. And my channel devoted to entomology, science about insects and some other invertebrates. And this stream is devoted to people who like invertebrates, who like animals, who like spiders, which are not insects, who like insects. And these people are really strange. We're living in a strange world because this is a world of technology. Technology is all around us, in computers, in telephones, in communications, in social webs, and different links, and without letters between us. So we lost the opportunity to write letters, but we can receive opportunity to communicate directly between continents. But there are still some people who are devoted to special subjects which are really strange for other people who do not see them, because some animals, some living organisms were still very small. They're flying, they're jumping, they're crawling, they're flying around, but they're very small and people do not notice them. And these are invertebrates animals, invertebrates organisms, and many of them were insects. Some insects so small that it's very really unbelievable. They're very small, 0.5 millimeter and 0.2 millimeter, like Paramecium, Proteus, like single organism. There are some small tiny insects of the same shape like these tiny parasitoids just behind me on this poster belonging to superfamily Calcidoidea, calcid wasps, and which are parasitoids of other insects. World of insects is strange because some insects were phytophagous by eating plants, some were just predaceous, were predators, were eating another insects and another organism and other food substances. Some insects were just parasitoids, were living inside another organism, inside another insects, many of them. So were entomophagous insects were developing on another entomophagous organism. I want to see how many, not many people just visited us because this is evening time. And when we are talking about entomologists, usually people think these are special people who are collecting butterflies and who are collecting beetles, who enjoy different collections, who enjoy collecting insects and beetles, put them in some cardboards, in the boxes, and enjoy them just for watching them. Watching insects is a good idea because you can notice many objects of behavior of insects. But collecting is also adorable stuff for entomologists who enjoy making collections with big insects like this, huge rhinoceros beetles, or these huge Lucanidae beetles as well, like this, stag beetles, or some of these lovely butterflies as well. But not only main subject of entomology is collection. Of course, a lot of information entomologists can receive from observations under the microscopes. Under the microscope, because microscope became the most powerful stuff. Microscope becoming more and more powerful and more improved, so we can see under the microscope different substances under the highest magnification. This can be scanning electron microscope, or even just another microscope which has been used for taking photos of these insects, these tiny insects, about 1 millimeter or less, multifocus stacking microscope with stacking photography, when there are a lot of different photographs like 100 photographs can be just united together, and we receive high quality magnified picture photo of subjects which are really small, half of a millimeter, 1 millimeter, but it will be half quality with absolutely astonishing recognition of all tiny details, which was really impossible 40 years ago, or even 30 years ago. It was quite difficult, but this technology just improving. But of course, this technology costs a lot. And for some people who are just young now, there is a huge question, very important, how to become professional in which specialty can I choose as a young person who can enter university, institution, academy, institution. Hello, who is joining us? You can write. And this is question. But nevertheless, some people, especially in former USSR, were just jumped now immediately to some money-making professions. Everyone wants to be an economist, financialist, banker, work in a bank to make business and become businessman. Business in the former USSR countries. I'm explaining for people who do not know about former USSR. Business, became like kind of a dream. Small business, which can be expanding and growing and become a big business. And some young people are dreaming to become millionaires, rich people. And sometimes business in the former USSR, well, I would say dirty business, laundry money business, and dirty business, because it's including some criminal activities. Some people can say just you are joking. Well, I'm not joking, because just initial capital in the former USSR has been built on the basis of criminal activities. But what about in other professions like teachers, scientists, and entomologists, engineers? In the former USSR, they became not so prestigious because money is not so comparable with money of business. Money of a scientist can be the same as a salary in a shop. Or say like some person somewhere, just a cleaner of a street will be receiving the same salary as a scientist. That sounds very funny, but it's true. Because level of science increasing in the whole world, but the money in the former USSR just growing slowly. At least this is a money for life, for survival. But of course, these are not money to be precisely for building house, to buy a good apartment, or to make just an apartment in a countryside house, car and everything, and provide education for children. Nevertheless, everything is comparable, because business is a tricky stuff. In the former USSR, I'm not talking about in other countries, European countries, Indian continent, some Australia, New Zealand, Brazil, and Southern and Northern America. In other parts of the world, business is a very risky activity. To become scientist, this is more diligent profession and still prestigious profession, because you can be involved in activity which some other people do not understand, but which has a high quality, which may have a high quality results, which results can be approved by another scientist. In this case, you can be a real scientist, and you can be worldwide recognized scientist as well, if you like this idea. But at least if you are just a girl or a woman, you can receive decent salary, and it can be good enough for your family as well. But for that, you need to make some kind of good activities, like fish in a pond, making some activities by the tail. Move your tail very quickly to survive, to make your scientific business. Scientific business, that's not business on collection, because some people, some amateurs, by making business on their collections, by collecting some insects and by selling these insects. Hello for people who is joining us. But for some other people, this is a business on their activities, scientific activities. Because if you are just like a fish and making good activity with your tail, you can receive some money from outside of your scientific organization. And this money is called fellowship, scholarship, and also some grants. These are money which are coming to your scientific organization to improve your scientific study. And what does it mean? It means if you just want to be entomologist, if you want to be scientist, what you need to do? What do you need to do? You need to enter university. You can be amateur entomologist for whole your life without professional education, to know insects very well, to recognize odors, to recognize families, but profession means that you are making money on your activities, but you are making living on your scientific activity, because scientists, we need to what? Write papers, write articles in scientific journals, write books in scientific publishing houses, and also build some scientific study. Hello everyone who is joining us. Thank you very much for coming. And as you recognized, some people with, from the former USSR are coming. I'm speaking English, surprisingly. But I'm speaking slowly, as you recognize. Just, I am not in a hurry. At least you can recognize, you can understand me. Easier. Yeah, you say easy. Don't worry, be happy. Why English? Because English language became world-recognized language for communication between all business people and between scientific people. And you know, maybe you don't know because you are just in a school, in a university, but your own language in your own country of a former USSR is just a third-class language for whole world. Russian, Ukrainian, Kazakh, Armenian, Azerbaijani, Turkish language, all languages were not recognized worldwide because nobody cannot read paper published in these languages. And what does it mean? That the scientific community and also, how to say, political community, political order for all scientists in the former USSR, write papers, write articles, scientific articles and papers and books in English language. In English language because what? Because this book, this article, this paper will be recognized in other countries. And why? In a French, for instance, if you write in a French journal, so you can publish in a French language too. Well, French scientists will publish half, 50-50. 50 just in the French journals, 50 in English language as well. But we do not say that French language is a dirty language. But in our countries, in science, English, this is a clean language for white people. All other languages, as some scientists say these words, not me, I'm just citing them. By citing the publications in Russian, in Ukrainian, in other languages means totally nothing. Means has a value of zero, big zero, number zero, and value is a zero kopecks, because nobody cannot read it and cannot evaluate it in the whole world. But what means evaluation? And why do we need this evaluation from another countries? I was so stupid, like a wood, just scientists in Russia, in Ukraine, and Belarus, in Armenia, Azerbaijan, and other countries, former USSR, they have just heads like an empty stone, so they need only think in English and write in English. Or English is a world recognized language, and if you wrote a paper and article in English, other scientists in other countries can use these results easier. If these articles about, about insects, about some chemical structures, which has scientific value, just basic scientific value, not practical value, which not value in dollars. That's good for education and the science as a whole. But if your scientific results published in English language and they may have some kind of a business recognition, some commercial recognition, so these results can be easier used by scientists and other commercial companies abroad from in other countries. And this is the first reason why we need to read and publish in English. And the second, that if you publish papers in English, you can ask for fellowships, for scholarships, this kind of stipendiums, and for grants from abroad. Why do we mean abroad? Because some countries abroad in European Union, in the USA, in South America, in North America, in Canada, they can provide some kind of, not huge money, but some amount of money, even for countries, not their own countries, not Canada, not America, not France, not United Kingdom, not Germany, but to scientists in other countries, in other poor countries, in our world, the former USSR, that's what I'm belonging to, Ukraine as well. Ukraine is from a developed country of a former developed republic of a former USSR, became to developing country without space research, with very small aviation, without developed transportation, but with agriculture. Agriculture which can be imported abroad, and if some products from this country can be imported abroad, so some scientists can study these products to get some clean products, for instance, like some organic products, to use biological control, to reduce application of pesticides. And also these products can be imported outside of this country, like outside of Ukraine, outside of Russia, somewhere can be sold for cheaper money, definitely, because all products in in former USSR, in Ukraine and Russia and other countries, 10 times cheaper than in neighboring European Union countries and America. And of course, if you're just some business people selling it, so they can receive some profit. But okay, this is not about science. What about science? You can receive scholarship, fellowship, and stipendium from abroad. If you are just a graduate student, you can go to learn science in scientific university or academic organization abroad, in France, in Germany, in Spain, in United States, in United Kingdom, and other countries. Even if you go to study for Brazil, you can receive good stipendium from Brazil, or go to Turkish Republic, you can receive good stipendium in Turkish university, because some universities can provide you stipendium for living over there and to study at university. Or if you're going on your own money, now just education is payable, so you can receive education in United States or in United Kingdom. So if you are rich, so your parents rich, sorry about that. If your parents are rich, they can provide you good education abroad in France, Germany, United Kingdom. And of course, after that, you can decide where to work in the Netherlands, in Denmark, in Sweden, in the Finnish Republic, or maybe in Holland, somewhere in a small country like Belgium, or in a hot country like Italy. So it's up to you because you can receive education. And after that, so you are not a tree with roots. So if you do not worry too much about your grandparents, about your parents, but you worry about your future family, future job, and some profits from your profession, you can go forward somewhere to another country. Like, I know some Indian people, some Indian students who are just watching me on this channel they're asking me a lot of questions. How could they receive some kind of education in Ukrainian universities? Yes, we can do it because this education is cheaper, 5 times cheaper than in France, 10 times cheaper than in United Kingdom, and 3 times cheaper than in India. So cheaper than in India, but level will be still very good. And also, if you speak English, not only Hindi or another just language from India, but Indian English language. So some professors in some universities can give some lectures in English language. Of course, not all of them, but some courses, some good courses, they're in English and good quality. Because still some university professors who speak English, they can make these lectures in their own university, or sometimes they're making these lectures abroad because they can receive some fellowship and scholarships and make lectures abroad and receive some little bit more money for their study, for their living. Yes, so that's why if you are Indian student or just you want to be student of university somewhere abroad and you have enough enthusiasm in you, or you say urgent necessity for study, urgent necessity to go out of your city where you just got a huge roots, but so you can take off your roots and go abroad, like to Ukraine or to Russia as well, where some universities have high quality education in university, even it's like a Tumen in Russia, in Siberia, has the highest quality of education and with the highest payment for students and for fellows and for people who receive stipendium and salaries over there. But if you can go to another universities, Russia in Central European part, and the education is really good. And about Ukrainian, some study in Ukrainian still stagnating, because not in all universities with good investments of money coming in. Some universities became private, some universities still governmental, some semi-governmental. So, and it depends from professional side of this university. Like for instance, where we have just Kiev Medical University, which was traditional medical university. But some another universities want also to make business. So that's why they open medical faculty in their university. They just collected somewhere some pharmaceutical professions from another, some doctors. They put them like lecturers, gave them professor status, and say, well, we have just medical university too, medical faculty. No, sorry. They say, not talking about faculties now, to receive image of highest quality. Some universities, they separated their departments and say, institute of biology, institute of chemistry, institute of pedagogy, institute of mathematics, and so on. And it looks like prestigious. Initially, these are just faculties. And if this is pharmaceutical institute or medical institute, new one on the base of a former common university, the level of education will be so. But for some foreign students who do not speak very much English language as well, so how we say, this is just like a macaroni on your ears. It means just imagination. Anyway, what about entomology? Entomology for Ukrainian and for another people. The most important that people come into entomology from reading books, like some old books. For example, many people like fish, and this is an old book about home aquarium. Yes. In the old time, people were reading in library, taking some books like about aquariums, about insects, reading them and enjoying them so much, and then deciding maybe what is interesting for them. People liked very much reading, but nevertheless, some books still has a huge value. That's why I want to show them just for Russian-speaking society, some Russian books. So these are book Gerald with this one, Gerald Darrell, about naturalist, and this is a book Adventures of a Carrick and Valley. Adventures of Carrick and Valley, about two small boy and girl who became very small, so they were traveling like on a ladybird. So this book just for children from the age of 5, and Gerald Darrell, this is book for teenagers already and for adults, for children as well. Because this is Darrell, this is a book with stories about different animals, not only mostly about vertebrates, not in invertebrates. But I wanted to talk about books for entomologists. For instance, one of the most interesting author, a Russian author, this is Marykovsky. And this is a book with name My Lovely Funny Grasshopper. Entomologist Marykovsky, who studied in Kazakhstan. Different insects, and he wrote a huge bunch of books and articles about insects. Marykovsky, for instance, his second book is Miraculous Lightning, Marykovsky. This is still with photographs in white and black. So this is 70s, 80s years of last century, by the way. But fortunately, these books now are all available online. So it's easy to read them online, to download them from websites online. Like this small tiny book published in 90s, Kopanev's Life of a Grasshoppers, 1985. Life of a Grasshoppers, Kopanev's with interesting stories about different insects and nice illustrations. So it needs to show you some books in Russian because they are weakly known in English-speaking society. Weakly because they probably never been translated, I guess so. Because they were published in under the Iron Curtain of the former USSR, so they were not translated. For young entomologists, so this is book of Marykovsky, the same author as this My Funny Grasshopper. As a book, My Funny Grasshopper is this one. And this book is named like a manual for young entomologists. Manual for Young Entomologists. This is very important book because here small stories about insects, small interesting observations about insects, how to observe them, how to read, how to write some notes, how to make careful observations, make recordings, how to collect insects, how to store them, and how to record interesting behavioral features of insects. Behavioral. Behavior of insects is very important. I don't have, for instance, a huge volume of Faber, John Henry Faber, book of founder of entomology, John Henry Faber, who just wrote six volumes in French language. In Russian language, it was translated several times, but just in 1 or 2 volumes, so very shortened edition. So if you can read French, this will be really great. This is another book which is published also in a former USSR with author Mikhail Kozlov and Ninburg, and it's named Your Collection with methodology how to collect insects. Your collection. This is very important. Okay, thank you for everyone who is joining us. Thank you for joining. You can write your questions. Okay, next author. I can explain about stories about these authors later in Russian language for Russian-speaking society, Russian-speaking community. And this book is for young lovers of nature. For young lovers of nature. This was my favorite book in school time and after school with author Plavilshikov. So difficult to pronounce. Nikolai Plavilshikov. For young lovers of nature. Several books, several interesting books were published by him about entomology, and also in a global, this is like phenological observations in this book, Lovers of Nature. So different in 4 seasons of world, which phenological, botanical, zoological, entomological observations you can do in the nature. So very interesting experiments and observations can be done just by everyone. And of course, some popular books of this person who is not a scientist but who is just famous art and very well known person, writer. I need to open because here. Sorry. So this is about wasps. This book about wasps. Yosef Khalifman. So this about the spider wasps, and this about bumblebees. So the author Khalifman. So these books are very famous and very interesting. Good educational material for students and for children, for college students as well. Yosef Khalifman. So he published books about honeybees, about termites, about wasps, and about bumblebees, and about ants. All about hymenopterous insects. So he was very fascinated person who was enjoying very much hymenopterous insects. I like very much Hymenoptera as well, so you can recognize these are Hymenoptera parasitic wasps. He didn't write the book about parasitoids, by the way, only about these, as I said, pollinators and predators, and about sawflies. Sawflies has not been reviewed by him, and parasitoids. Yes, welcome to make questions. And of course, I have this interesting this interesting picture. And these are pictures of a Victor Hrebennikov. His books about insects were very famous, despite they were published with many, not many, but very small numbers. Hrebennikov, but he was, for instance, but he published many articles in journals in his time, in the time of USSR. But his books, Victor Stepanovich Hrebennikov, he became famous because he made special feature for the flight, like insects on the basement of a special non-gravitation activity. Yes, this is miraculous activity, miraculous movement, miraculous flight with some feature which was based on the elyters of insects, elyters of beetles, and these elyters allowed him to make flight just against the gravitation, just go through the gravitation and flight over his. But he published a book, My Life, and this book is available online on their website, which is named, I will write here, site Flora and Fauna. Fauna Nova. On this site, Flora Fauna Shipunova, you can find a lot of books, including books of Victor Stepanovich Hrebennikov online. And read them, or at least if you are not reading them, you can just go through them and to see some interesting pictures, because pictures were colorful, color pictures of Victor Stepanovich Hrebennikov, absolutely astonishing, so very scientifically very careful. And next book which I want to show you, this is a zoological excursions. This is Arthur Rykov and Rimsky-Korsakov, Russian authors. Zoological excursions. Heavy book, big one, not very colorful because white and black pictures, but all different groups of invertebrates reviewed here. And so this is really like instruction for visit every ecological system. Instruction for aquatic system, instruction for forest, field, lake, pond, small grassland, some grass fields and orchards everywhere, with very careful observations in zoology and in entomology, because Rimsky-Korsakov, who was a brother of another Rimsky-Korsakov composer, Mikhail Rimsky-Korsakov, he was famous entomologist in St. Petersburg in Russia. I really advise you to search either just electronical book, zoological excursions, Rimsky-Korsakov, Rykov, zoological excursions, despite it was published last time in the 50s and republished again, reprinted after 2000, reprinted. But because, you know, insects still the same, ecological system still the same, lakes, ponds, grasslands, dry fields, they're still the same. In insects, they are associated with these places still the same. Same still living in orchard, in a fruit orchard, in your garden. That's why even if you take some old atlases of like here, or atlas of pests of different fruit and strawberries, and you can find here some pictures, so like old style drawings. Okay, here some vertebrates, but some another with insects, some drawings of butterflies. Definitely say this is old style pictures of the last century, but here this is a scientifically revised, scientifically referred publication, and every word here is checked. So there is here a description of different pests with characteristic and description of behavior and connections with different plants and damage of different plants and indication of these animals, like these invertebrates, mites, which are just inhabiting fruit orchards. Okay, in Ukraine, in the former USSR, in Russia as well. So these atlases are still valuable. This atlas published in Ukrainian Insects Addict field cultures, and this one Savko Yermolenko, author Yermolenko Atlas Pests, and this Atlas Savkovsky. Well, definitely you say these are big insects, but still insects are the same, even if you can find old book like this old book published in the beginning of the last century. And this is a course of entomology, Professor Kolotkovsky, and especially took this book for historical review. And this book was published, I found it in our library institute. Of course, it's a historical book in 1929. Okay, nearly 100 years of this book. But still, morphology didn't change. Morphology still, and here some pictures of many insects are very, very carefully done. So identification keys of a major groups are done here very, very well done. So very useful even to use old books, old historical books of some people who were founders of entomology in your country. Like here, this is Professor Kolotkovsky. Later in university, you will study all different groups of invertebrates, and in Russian universities, one major course, this is Zoology of Invertebrates, which was written by Professor Dogelin from St. Petersburg. So Zoology of Invertebrates. So it's heavy and the book and very difficult to read and very important to read and understand and remember, because the comparison of different groups of invertebrates are very important for understanding of living world, for comparison of the behavior, of comparison of anatomy. For instance, someone is asking me here, do people study brains and intelligence? Very difficult to study these questions because it needs high quality equipment. But I know that in Moscow University, people are studying brains of small insects like here, because these insects also have a brain cells. So, and these cells are very small. So there are some special studies of anatomy, morphology, and structure of brain cells inside insects, because these insects, they have a blood system, they have an excretory system, they have a breathing system, and of course they have a nervous system, nervous cells. And even with these tiny insects, like behind of me, some of them were very tiny. As I said, size of a small protist, 0.2 millimeters. Some insects with 0.2 millimeters, they have a nervous system. Can you imagine very small cells of in nervous system and brain of this insect. And some scientific study in Moscow University showed that these nervous cells in the brain of tiny insects with a size 0.2 millimeter. Size of insect. 0.2 millimeter. This insect. This tiny insect, 0.2 millimeter, has a nervous system, and these cells, they do not have nucleus. So nervous brain cells, they do not have nucleus. So they have a special, very special system of connections and transmission of nervous impulses between cells, because nucleus usually is participating in a transmission of nervous signal, but in these cells we do not have nucleus. So system physiologically, morphologically is absolutely different, and this is called as minimization of this brain in insect, which is very small, 0.2 millimeter. Probably this system can be also used in a special proteins which can keep some information for future computers, for some biological proteins, biological computers based on proteins, on very simple proteins maybe, but still we can keep information like crystals in our computers, which is now not biological and not based on proteins, but in the future maybe computers will be on proteins. It's difficult to imagine even on living proteins, because they say if a protein is becoming dry, so computer will die. So that's why protein should be living protein. So like a living organism computer, 0 point computer point. This sounds very strange. Anyway, at the present time, when some scientists definitely can speak English, so it's very important to read English, to read, write, and understand, and communicate, speak. All 4 activities you need to know in English. Read, write, speak, and understand through your ears. Speak and understand. This is important. When some visitors from abroad come into your laboratory, you need to communicate and speak with them face to face, and this is very important. So communicational activities, because reading and writing is a very slow activity. Reading and writing, you can write on computer and answering through English Google, which is very simple. You can translate your message from your Chinese language into destroyed English language, or from your maybe Russian or Ukrainian language into English again will be Russian English language. Nevertheless, if you can speak English, so you can communicate with your colleagues, either visitors, or you need to go to another countries, not only to show your collection as entomologist, because you can go in the basement of your fellowship or scholarship to study some insects. You can bring your insects with you and study abroad, somewhere in a high quality university in Germany, where you can speak English, just English. Or if you can speak English and German language in German university, you can easier receive fellowship to visit Germany, to receive stipendium, some money, good money, like 800 euro per month to study proper subject in Germany, and make input to make your results which are valuable for science in Germany and worldwide. And you say, why Germany could give you money? And why Germany is giving money for these scientists who are going to Germany? Good question, good point, if you never use it this way. Because if you are just intelligent person, if you have some knowledge, some scientific knowledge, already, so your brain is not a wood, but it's little much better. So it means that you can make some cooperation with a German scientist. So it's much cheaper to use your knowledge, your education for German science, and for American science. Because if you use some creative ideas or just educational ideas, or you can share your knowledge through cooperation, it's much more productive rather than to educate and to grow just a personality, high quality specialists in their own countries, like in Germany or in the United States. Anyway, easier to invite you with your knowledge, especially for developed countries which have money and can spend some money for science. Other countries, like poor countries like Russia and Ukraine, do not provide such kind of fellowships. Sorry about that. Ukraine also claimed that scientific institution will be provided by some fellowships in Ukraine. But I guess probably number of these fellowships for foreigners and for local scientists will be not more than 10 fellowships for the whole country. What means 10 fellowships or even 20 fellowships for the whole country? That's practically nothing. So, and they can receive the same salary like other staff in Ukraine, so they are happy to use new equipment, but they will be not very happy financially. But if you are invited to another university abroad, somewhere to European Union or to United States of America, you can receive their education. You can make scientific study in United Kingdom, in London, or even in Bristol or Edinburgh. Or maybe if you know just German language, welcome to Berlin. Welcome to study German language in Germany. Or for instance, if you know French language, you're absolutely like a person. You can go to Belgium. You can go to France. In the French Republic, your education in university will be free. So you are not, are you not deaf? No, it's free. Education in university in France, if you are speaking French language, is free. You need only to pay for your food, for your books, and for accommodation. But education is free if you speak in French language. So you can be lucky if you speak French. But definitely if you speak French, in school you will study two languages, French and English, or maybe another one. So it will be very useful to share your knowledge, to get education, and then to get job somewhere abroad. So anyway, this is the point about education. So don't forget about the idea to use your English speaking skills for cooperation, because if you're becoming just professional in any specialty, in behavioral study, in anatomy study, in morphology study, in agricultural study as well, and you can speak either English, either German, either French, or maybe Spanish. So you're a very lucky person if you are you're lucky twice or triple times. because you can go to this country for the study. Even if you speak Turkish language in Azerbaijan. Yes, you can understand Turkish language in Istanbul. Welcome to Turkish Republic to study your profession, to pay some money for education, but your level will be a little bit better than you're at home, and you will become more advanced. You can receive advanced education and advanced profession and some skills to live alone and to provide your job and your future study as well. Turkish Republic is a good idea also for study abroad with Turkish stipendium, or just if you have money so you can pay for your education in Turkish Republic, and you do not hesitate to do it, because you say Turkish Republic, yes, much better education than somewhere in some other countries in the former USSR, especially in some provinces. In some provinces where some universities have very few equipment for scientific study. Not only for scientific study, but also for student study, for student study. Welcome to ask questions. In English or Russian. Welcome. And just type into Russian. What do I wanted to say? Welcome to ask questions, English and Russian. But of course, if you are just in Ukraine, you need to study entomology in Ukrainian language. So this is Ukrainian entomology, about morphology, about behavior, and so on. So this is Fedorenko Pokozy Krut. This is entomology published guidebook just recently with some different pictures as well from another atlases. So also valuable for Ukrainian students. So we have Ukrainian entomology book, right? But if you speak English, so you can buy some books abroad from Amazon, like this book, Hymenoptera, like another Hymenoptera behind of me. Well, to study Hymenoptera families, I will give some kind of review of the families of Hymenoptera on the base of this book. I got this book from authors Jan Gold and Barry Bolton personally when I visited London in Natural History Museum in London. So this is just a gift. But you can buy it. And of course, if you want to be entomologist, you can start even from the very small book, like books of Crimea, of this Yefetov and Budashkin, our colleagues from Crimea, from Simferopol and from Karadakh Nature Reserve, Yefetov and Budashkin. And then just go through to a guidebook where Ross, like this entomology, and go to another books or detailed entomology like Vorontsov, forestry entomology, and agricultural entomology. But these entomological books people study already in university, where you can collect some insects, where you can make special collections, where you can receive education how to study, how to make scientific collection of insects or another invertebrates, how to study these insects under the microscope, and what to study. Which group of insects is most interesting for the study? Because some groups are quite big, like Lepidoptera books. Lepidoptera, of course, Lepidoptera are very big, but these groups more or less well studied because of their big size and insects, or like some beetles. But nevertheless, if you can visit some distant areas, they will be much less studied. And some groups of insects, even butterflies, were also weakly studied because they're not so attractive. Like Lycaenidae is very attractive. People like them very much. But if you see some Noctuidae, for instance, night moths, oh, okay, this Papyrionidae is very nice, very attractive, very common for not only for scientific study but for amateurs collecting. But some small groups are very tiny. They're called Hymenoptera and Microlepidoptera. The smaller insects were more interesting and valuable for scientific. So this is Macrolepidoptera. Macrolepidoptera, small, tiny moths. If you just switch on light, you can collect a lot of different moths on light in your area. And it seems so that probably in your area nobody didn't collect these tiny Microlepidoptera. You can collect them even with small net or with small tubes like this. Here with insect as well. Here some Ichneumoniid wasp sitting inside. Put them inside, and inside these tubes you can keep this insect alive for a certain time, and then just put here label and provide this sample of insect and inside the tube with a label, with indicated label, place, country, city, village, ecological place, forest, field, date and name of collector. If you provide this insect for professional entomologists can identify this insect and give you advice and a short description of scientific name, or maybe some data about biology of this insect. You can put this insect in some boxes, provide these samples like here, some beetles. Yeah. And you can send these samples for professional entomology if you want to receive some advices or identification. Identification can be important because you want to know the name of a pest. For instance, if you want to ask me, so this is my electronic email. This is my electronic email. If you want to send me photo or real sample of insect for identification or for cooperation, so I can give your name and explain that you send me insect. So you have questions and I will answer for this question just directly. Tune in, speaking about it online, like in this stream. And finally, I want to show you some video as well, because I prepared some videos. I noticed that some people became very enthusiastic about these Oryctes nasicornis, rhino beetles. Yes, and they're now crawling in our city. Yeah, and I am not joking, because yes, we are living in Ukraine and we are crawling in my country. Some of them even flying in just another box. Or some of them were sitting inside just nearby. I can show you, because I prepared some of them as artists for this stream. Yes. So I participated in this stream as well. Yeah. So this, you see this bit of, be careful. One jumped. Yeah, just to show you. This bit of on screen. So I just recorded them just recently. But even not all such a big insects like arena beetles, but even some small insects like this tiny insect, like this tiny wasp of a family, sandy wasps, sand wasps Phycidae, can be interesting. When you put such interesting insect under the microscope, you can make interesting observations for behavior. And of course, if you observe for this insect in the nature, you can recognize different trophical relations of this insect and wasp as well. Maybe for these wasps, or trophical relations of a different parasitic insects, like behind of me. And of course, some people enjoy very much honeybees. That's why just I'm visiting from time to time my friend's apiary, and I'm very pleased to show you some news from apiary near Kiev. And honeybees are very lucky now, because this is a combination of a hot weather and some rains as well. So that's why we're just coming foragers were coming for nectar, and very busy just for ventilation is this here near the entrance of this beehive. So honeybees are working and making honey as well as usual. So this is short story for today, for this 1 hour about entomology. I wanted to speak two languages, Russian and English, but finally, when I started, I recognized better if I will talk about entomology in English. Start this story in English, and later we can recognize which discussion can be easier and better, in English or in Russian as well. Where is he? Ah, yeah. Here, this camera, so I show you. Arena beetle just in front of the camera. I'm trying to be very careful to not break his tiny leg. So thank you for your attention. Welcome to my channel next time. And by the way, I do not forget about this stuff. Artem wrote something. And here I want to indicate here this message. Welcome to my Patreon page. Patreon page, this is for our sponsors who can be sponsor of our channel. And I will indicate this name of the sponsor in the subtitles of my videos. Yeah, I decided how to show you. Come. Yes. Like this. So welcome to Patreon. Subscribe to Patreon and just you can read about projects which are indicated in Patreon. So you can be sponsor, or how it's called in Patreon. This is patrons in Patreon. And I will show more interesting stories as soon as possible, as I will collect new interesting insects or another invertebrates, maybe not spiders, because I am not a great fan of spiders, but I have some of them, so we're just waiting to be recorded. And of course, some arena beetles will be shown on our channel soon, several times, because we will be going for fresh walking in the evening time together with my arena beetles. So we're sending you best greetings from Kiev, the capital of Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Can you come here? No. Can you come here? Tarzi, can you come here? Yes, like this one. So arena beetles inviting you just to join Patreon page. Good luck and see you soon on my channel. Bye bye. Good luck and see you soon. Arena is coming. Crawling up and up and sending you best greetings. Good luck and see you soon.